Dr. Smith stared at her computer screen, her coffee going cold beside her keyboard. The signal patterns didn't make sense. After 20 years at the Global Defense Initiative, she had seen all kinds of strange readings, but nothing like this. "Tom, come look at this," she called to her assistant. The young man hurried over, his own coffee splashing dangerously close to the rim of his cup. "Tell me I'm not going crazy." The signals had started 3 days ago. At first, they thought it was just another satellite malfunction. But now, all their deep space monitoring stations were picking up the same thing. Something big was heading toward Earth. "Should we alert the military?" Tom asked, pushing his glasses up his nose. Dr. Smith shook her head. "Not yet. Let's get more data first. The last thing we need is to cause a panic over a space rock." But it wasn't a space rock. That became clear when the object changed direction. Within hours, the news spread through the scientific community. Within days, it reached the public. Social media exploded with theories, memes, and jokes. Hashtag space visitors started trending worldwide, alongside hashtag alien invasion and hashtag show us the aliens. The object, now clearly identified as a massive ship, settled into Earth's orbit exactly 1 week after Dr. Smith first spotted the signals. It was beautiful in a terrifying way. Sleek silver-white metal that seemed to glow against the backdrop of space, stretching nearly a mile in length. Then came the message. It broadcast simultaneously on every frequency, in perfect English. "People of Earth, we are the observers. We come with peaceful intentions to uplift your primitive species into the galactic community. Resist, and we will be forced to demonstrate our superiority. Accept our guidance, and we will lead you to a greater future." The world's governments scrambled to respond. The UN called an emergency session. Military forces worldwide went on high alert, but the most interesting reaction came from ordinary people. Instead of panic, the internet flooded with memes. Pictures of cats with captions like, "Oh, you're superior. That's cute." Videos of people doing increasingly ridiculous things with the caption, "Primitive species be like." Even Dr. Smith couldn't help but laugh at some of them. The observers didn't seem to understand the response. They sent another message. "Your species appears to be malfunctioning. We detect widespread transmission of nonsensical images and text. This confirms our assessment of your primitive nature." That only made things worse, or better, depending on how you looked at it. Hashtag primitive and proud started trending. Someone edited the alien message into a dance remix that went viral within hours. The observers decided to demonstrate their power. At exactly noon GMT, every military satellite worldwide went dark. The message was clear: resist, and worse would follow. The world's military leaders gathered in an emergency session. Dr. Smith found herself in a room with generals, admirals, and intelligence chiefs from a dozen countries. The mood was tense, but not defeated. "They think they're showing strength," General Roberts said, "but they're actually telling us exactly what they can and can't do." Notice they didn't touch civilian satellites. Dr. Smith nodded. "Their technology is advanced, but they're predictable. They're following a playbook, probably one that's worked on other worlds." "Other worlds that weren't Earth," someone muttered, drawing grim chuckles from around the room. The meeting was interrupted by another broadcast from the observers. "We will begin landing operations in 24 hours. Any military resistance will be met with appropriate force. Civilian cooperation will be rewarded." As the leaders argued about how to respond, Dr. Smith's phone buzzed. It was a message from Tom. "Doc, you need to see what's happening online." She opened her social media feed and almost dropped her phone laughing. Someone had created a bingo card titled "Alien Invasion Clichés" and was checking off boxes as the observers hit each one. Superior species speech was marked with a big red X. Threatening demonstration of power had just been checked off. The Galactic Council's emergency session was interrupted by yet another Earth transmission. This one showed cats watching the observer fleets surrender, with captions that made the alien diplomats even more confused than usual. "Explain again," the council leader demanded. "How did the most advanced fleet in the galaxy lose to a level 3 civilization?" The observer commander stood before them, his proud posture now slightly bent. Behind him, screens showed Earth's latest viral videos of their defeat, set to something humans called epic fail compilation music. He hesitated. They weren't what we expected. Obviously, another council member snorted. But how exactly did they defeat quantum technology with, what did you call them? Primitive toys. Dr. Smith and Commander Jack sat in the Earth delegation section, trying not to smile too obviously. After the surrender, the council had been forced to invite Earth representatives to explain what happened. They hadn't expected the humans to turn the formal meeting into what they called a PowerPoint presentation. "Let me explain." Dr. Smith stood up, clicking to her first slide. It showed a picture of a cat with the caption, "You came to the wrong neighborhood." Several council members blinked in confusion. "You see," she continued, "when you arrived, you categorized everything about us as either primitive or advanced. Your eye did the same thing. That was your first mistake." She clicked to the next slide, showing a teenager's gaming console next to salvaged alien tech. "Humans don't think that way. We don't see technology as primitive or advanced. We see it as whatever works." The council chamber buzzed with confused whispers. Tom, operating the presentation, switched to the next slide. A compilation of alien ships broadcasting Rick Astley from their external speakers. "Your second mistake," Commander Jack added, "was assuming that because we make jokes about everything, we weren't taking you seriously. The truth is, humans joke about things precisely because we take them seriously. It's how we cope, how we think, how we solve problems." "But the quantum encryption," one council member protested. "Our systems were unhackable." "Yes," Dr. Smith nodded, "to quantum attacks. But did you ever test them against a program written in BASIC by a teenager? Did you ever consider that while you were looking for advanced cyber warfare, we were sliding into your systems through the digital equivalent of a cat flap?" The presentation continued, showing how Earth's primitive technology had systematically dismantled the observer fleet's defenses. Each slide was accompanied by what humans called memes, which still made the council members uncomfortable. "And here," Dr. Smith pointed to a chart, "is where your eye had what we call a total meltdown trying to categorize cat videos as either weapons or entertainment. Spoiler alert, they were both." The council leader raised a hand. "Are you saying you defeated our most advanced fleet using jokes?" "No," Commander Jack replied. "We defeated your fleet using everything we had. The jokes were just a bonus." And speaking of bonuses, Tom switched to the final slide. It showed Earth's terms for joining the galactic community. Earth would not be uplifted. Instead, they would join as equals. The observer fleet's donated technology would be studied and improved upon by human engineers. A new Galactic Council division would be created to study primitive solutions to advanced problems. All future contact with Earth would begin with the phrase, "We come in peace, and we've checked your internet." "This is unprecedented," the council leader sputtered. "We can't just change galactic law because one planet." "Actually," Dr. Smith interrupted, pulling up a video on her tablet, "we made a TikTok explaining why you can and will. It's gone viral across 17 star systems." The council chambers erupted in chaos as representatives from other worlds started sharing the video. Several younger alien diplomats were already creating what they called reaction videos. In the midst of the uproar, Pete's voice came through Jack's earpiece. "Sir, you might want to check the latest update. Someone just remixed the council leader's unprecedented speech into a dance track." Dawn broke over the city with an unusual silence. The alien patrols continued their rounds, their sensors sweeping for threats they understood. They didn't notice the thousands of humans checking their phones, waiting for a single message. Commander Jack stood at his command post, watching the sunrise. "Are we ready?" "Yes, sir," Pete replied, his fingers hovering over his keyboard. "Dr. Smith's team is in position. All resistance cells report green." Jack took a deep breath. "Send it." The message was simple, a video of Rick Astley's "Never Gonna Give You Up." Within seconds, it spread across every social media platform, every digital billboard, every phone screen. The aliens' AI flagged it as another example of primitive human behavior. That was exactly what they wanted. Hidden in the video's code were commands that activated thousands of modified devices across the city. Gaming consoles began broadcasting signals that confused alien sensors. Car stereos emitted frequencies that disrupted their communications. Even modified microwave ovens joined in, creating a web of interference that their advanced technology couldn't handle. In her lab, Dr. Smith watched as the alien AI tried to process what was happening. "Look at that," she told Tom, pointing to her screen. "Their system is trying to categorize every signal as either a threat or harmless. But there are too many, and they don't fit any pattern it understands." The first alien patrol ships noticed something was wrong when their navigation systems started showing them meme images instead of sensor data. Their attempts to call for help were met with auto-tuned versions of their own previous announcements about human primitiveness. "Status report," the observer commander demanded. "Sir, we're getting..." "Nonsense," his officer replied. "Our communications are being flooded with something called keyboard cat and nyan cat. We can't filter it out because the AI doesn't recognize it as an attack." The commander slammed his console in frustration. How are they doing this? They're supposed to be primitive. Meanwhile, the second phase of Operation Rickroll began. Thousands of modified drones, too small and primitive for alien sensors to track, launched from rooftops and windows. Each carried a tiny package of reprogrammed alien technology. "They're expecting missiles and tanks," Jack explained to his team. "Instead, we're hitting them with toys and teenagers." The drones swarmed the alien ships, attaching themselves to hull plates and sensor arrays. Each one uploaded a small piece of code. Nothing complex enough to trigger security systems, but together they formed something bigger. In the alien command center, chaos erupted as systems began failing one by one. Security cameras showed only cat videos. Translation software converted everything into internet memes. Defense shields flickered as their power was diverted to play "Never Gonna Give You Up" through the ship's external speakers. "Sir," Pete called out, "Dr. Smith's team is in. The AI is trying to process so many primitive signals that it's completely overwhelmed. They've got control of the main systems." The aliens finally realized their mistake. While they had been watching for advanced weapons and organized military attacks, humanity had turned their own assumptions against them. Every piece of technology they had dismissed as primitive was now part of a weapon they couldn't fight. Dr. Smith's voice crackled over the radio. "Main control accessed. You won't believe what their command codes were. 12,345. Apparently, they thought we were too primitive to even try hacking them." The observer commander watched in horror as his mighty fleet was reduced to floating metal shells, their advanced technology rendered useless by what they had considered children's toys and outdated electronics. But the humans weren't done. As alien ships hung helpless in the sky, people emerged from their homes and workplaces, not with weapons, but with phones and tablets. They recorded everything, streaming it live across the globe. The mighty observers, who had come to uplift a primitive species, were being defeated by the very primitiveness they had mocked. "Sir," one of the alien officers reported, "the humans are. They're posting videos of our defeat. They're adding funny captions and music. They're turning our invasion into something they call memes." The commander stared at the screens in disbelief. "Stop them. Use the emergency protocols." "We can't, sir. Every time we try to access our systems, we get something called a rickroll." In her lab, Dr. Smith allowed herself a small smile as she typed the final commands. The aliens' quantum encryption, designed to stop the most sophisticated cyber attacks, had no defense against programs written in BASIC and running on modified game consoles. Should we shut down their life support? Tom asked. Dr. Smith shook her head. No. Let's show them we're better than that. Instead, her fingers flew over the keyboard, and suddenly every alien display screen showed the same message. From Earth, the primitive planet. To Observer High Command. RE, your recent attempt at conquest. We could disable your life support. We could strand you in space. We could do all the things you plan to do to us if we resisted. But instead, we're going to teach you something about being primitive. Lesson 1. Never underestimate someone just because they don't do things your way. Lesson 2. Sometimes the simplest solution is the best one. Lesson 3. If you're going to invade Earth, maybe check our internet first. P.S. This is what we call kicking around and finding out. Sincerely, Humanity. P.P.S. We're keeping some of your tech as payment for the lesson. Hope you don't mind. Commander Jack watched from his command post as alien ships hung powerless in the morning sky, their mighty technology defeated by human ingenuity, determination, and a healthy dose of spite. Sir, Pete called out, trying not to laugh, you need to see this. Someone just uploaded a video compilation of the invasion set to Yakety Sax. The observer commander, watching his mighty fleet reduced to an internet joke, finally understood. They had come to uplift a primitive species, only to discover that sometimes being primitive just means being creative enough to solve problems without fancy technology. As the sun rose fully over the city, humanity's message was clear. They might not be the most advanced species in the galaxy, but they were certainly the most dangerous to underestimate. When aliens learn what around and find out means. Part 2. The underestimation. The first week of alien occupation went exactly as the observers planned, or so they thought. Their sleek ships now hovered above major cities, casting long shadows over the streets below. Their troops, tall figures in shimmering armor, patrolled the streets with weapons that looked like they came straight out of a video game. Commander Jack watched them from his apartment window, sipping coffee and scrolling through his tablet. 20 years in the military hadn't prepared him for fighting aliens, but it had taught him something valuable. The best time to strike is when your enemy thinks they've won. Sir, his radio crackled softly. You need to see this. He picked up the device. Go ahead, Pete. The aliens just posted their first official communication on social media. They're trying to be relatable. Jack opened the link Pete sent. The observer's post read, Greetings, primitive ones. We have created this account to better communicate with you in your simplistic ways. Please enjoy this image of a small Earth creature we find amusing. They had posted a picture of a squirrel. Within minutes, the comment section exploded. Humans responded with thousands of their own animal pictures, each tagged with increasingly ridiculous captions. The aliens, trying to maintain their authority, replied to each one with formal, stilted responses. They really don't get it, do they? Pete chuckled over the radio. No, Jack smiled. They don't. And that's exactly what we need. How's the other project going? Better than expected. Those primitive drones you had us collecting. Turns out their fancy shields don't even register anything under a certain size. They're looking for missiles and tanks, not toys. The Resistance had discovered this weakness by accident. A teenager's remote control plane had flown right through an alien ship's barrier, causing the observers to panic and shoot down the harmless toy. The incident had given Jack an idea. Across the city, people were secretly modifying their drones, RC cars, and other primitive devices. The aliens didn't bother confiscating them. After all, what harm could simple toys do to their advanced technology? Meanwhile, in her lab beneath the city, Dr. Smith was making progress of her own. The aliens had left most civilian infrastructure intact, including the internet. Another mistake. Look at this, she told her team, pointing to her screen. Their entire network runs on quantum-based protocols. Advanced, yes, but also rigid. They never expected to encounter systems using our outdated technology. Can we use that? Tom asked, leaning over her shoulder. Better, she grinned. We already are. Every time they interact with our internet, every meme they dismiss, every comment they respond to, they're unknowingly downloading small packets of code, primitive code, by their standards, code they don't bother to scan. The observers continued their peaceful occupation, setting up bases and research centers. They studied humans like scientists studying ants, making careful notes about human behavior, but missing the bigger picture entirely. In their daily reports to the Galactic Council, they noted, humans continue to respond to authority with strange images and text. Their technology remains amusingly basic. They spend much time sharing videos of small animals and dancing. No signs of organized resistance detected. They didn't realize that those strange images contained coded messages. They didn't notice that those basic devices were being modified with salvaged alien tech. And they certainly didn't understand that those viral dance videos were teaching people how to move without being tracked by their sensors. 1 month into the occupation, Commander Jack met with Dr. Smith in an old subway tunnel. The aliens never bothered with underground infrastructure. Another oversight. How long until they notice? He asked, reviewing her latest data. They won't, she replied confidently. Their AI is too sophisticated to recognize our primitive code as a threat. It's like trying to convince a chess grandmaster that a child's game of tic-tac-toe could be dangerous. And the hardware. Better than we hoped. Those salvaged pieces Pete's team recovered. They're quantum processors, but they're programmed to only recognize their own technology. We've been running our own programs on their hardware for weeks. They think the energy drain is just their systems adapting to Earth's atmosphere. Above ground, the observers were growing frustrated. Despite their guidance, humans continued their seemingly chaotic behavior. Their attempts to establish order were met with what they interpreted as simple-minded resistance, people playing music too loud, holding impromptu dance parties, or starting flash mobs. They didn't realize these activities were cover for testing their sensor responses. Every time they broke up a gathering, humans learned more about their tactics and technology. The alien commander, growing increasingly irritated, called a meeting with his senior officers. These humans are proving more difficult to control than anticipated, he stated, pacing in their sterile white conference room. They refuse to take anything seriously. They respond to our warnings with pictures of small animals wearing clothing. They seem incapable of understanding their own primitive status. Perhaps we should demonstrate more force, suggested one officer. No, the commander replied. The council wants minimal disruption. We must simply endure their childish behavior while we complete our mission. Little did they know, at that very moment, thousands of modified drones were mapping their base's defensive systems. Teenagers were figuring out how to hack alien comm channels through their gaming consoles. And in garages and workshops across the world, mechanics were reverse engineering alien technology using nothing but basic tools and determination. Commander Jack received hourly updates on his tablet, disguised as a social media feed. The resistance network now spanned the globe, hidden in plain sight. Every alien attempt to appear relatable on human social media gave them more opportunities to infiltrate their systems. Sir, Pete's voice came over the radio again. They just posted another update. They're trying to explain their superior technology to us simple humans. Jack checked the post. The observers had created an infographic about their quantum drives, thinking they were demonstrating their advancement. Instead, they had just given Earth's engineers exactly the information they needed. Perfect, he replied. Make sure Dr. Smith sees this. And Pete, keep the memes coming. The more they think we're just amusing ourselves, the better. As night fell over the city, the alien ships glowed softly against the dark sky. Their patrols moved with mechanical precision. Their sensors swept for threats they understood. But they weren't looking for the real danger. Millions of humans, armed with creativity, determination, and a growing understanding of alien technology. The observers thought they were studying humanity. In reality, humanity was studying them, learning their weaknesses, and preparing to show them exactly why underestimating Earth was their biggest mistake. Commander Jack looked at his watch. The Resistance now had detailed maps of every alien facility, understanding of their basic systems, and a growing arsenal of modified technology. Soon, very soon, the aliens would learn that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their military might or their technology. It was their ability to adapt, to think creatively, and to turn even their enemies' superiority into a weakness. "Time for Phase 2, he muttered, sending out a coded message hidden in a cat meme. Across the world, resistance cells received the signal and began their preparations. The observers were about to learn why primitive didn't mean harmless. The old auto repair shop looked abandoned from the outside. Its windows were dusty, and a closed sign hung crookedly on the door. The observers' patrol ships passed over it daily without a second glance. After all, what threat could a primitive repair shop pose to their advanced technology? Inside, however, was a different story. "Pass me that wrench," Mike said, his voice muffled under what used to be a normal delivery drone. Now, with parts salvaged from a crashed alien scout ship, it was something else entirely. "And keep that signal jammer running. Don't want our friends upstairs getting curious." The shop had become one of hundreds of secret workshops across the city. Mechanics, engineers, and everyday tinkerers worked together, combining Earth technology with reverse-engineered alien parts. The observers never imagined that humans could understand their quantum technology, let alone modify it using basic tools. They were wrong. In her underground lab, Dr. Smith was making an even bigger breakthrough. "Tom, look at this," she called, pointing to her screen. "Their entire defense network runs through a central eye. They're so confident in its superiority that they never bothered to create backup systems." Tom leaned in, adjusting his glasses. "Is that why they keep dismissing our tech? Because their AI tells them it's harmless?" "Exactly. Their AI is programmed to recognize advanced threats, energy weapons, quantum computers, antimatter bombs. But it completely ignores anything it considers primitive." She grinned. "Like our internet protocols from the 1990s. Across town, Commander Jack was meeting with his team in an old subway station. Maps and diagrams covered the walls, showing alien patrol routes and base layouts, all gathered by teenagers with modified smartphones and gaming consoles. The aliens finally posted their comprehensive analysis of human warfare, Pete reported, trying not to laugh. "They focused entirely on our current military technology. Didn't even mention guerrilla warfare or cyber attacks." Jack nodded. "Of course not. Their historical records probably only go back a few hundred years. They have no idea that humans have been perfecting the art of asymmetric warfare for thousands of years." "Should we show them some history lessons?" someone suggested. "No need," Jack smiled. "They're about to learn firsthand." The first test of humanity's new capabilities came sooner than expected. An alien patrol detected unusual energy readings from what they thought was an abandoned warehouse. They moved in to investigate, expecting to find nothing more than malfunctioning human equipment. Instead, they found their sensors scrambled by devices built from spare cell phone parts and modified microwave ovens. Their advanced targeting systems were blinded by what appeared to be jerry-rigged TV antennas. By the time they realized what was happening, the humans had already disappeared, taking with them crucial pieces of alien technology. The observer commander was furious. "How did primitive humans manage to interfere with our equipment?" he demanded. His science officer struggled to explain. "Sir, they're using methods so outdated our systems don't recognize them as threats. It's like trying to hack a quantum computer with an abacus. It should be impossible, but somehow The commander slammed his fist on the table. Search their information networks. Find out how they're organizing these attacks. But it wasn't just jokes. Hidden in the memes and comments, people were organizing. Civilian radio operators were coordinating to track alien communications. Tech enthusiasts were sharing ideas about alien technology vulnerabilities. Gamers were analyzing the observers' tactics like they were studying a new opponent's gameplay. The aliens had made 3 critical mistakes. First, they assumed panic would follow their show of force. Instead, they got memes. Second, they thought disabling military satellites would blind Earth, forgetting about civilian technology and human ingenuity. But their biggest mistake, they had given humanity 24 hours to prepare. Dr. Smith stood up in the middle of the meeting. Generals, admirals, I have a suggestion. Instead of trying to match their technology, let's use what they think is our weakness as our strength. What do you mean? General Roberts asked. They think we're primitive because we're unpredictable, because we respond to threats with jokes, because we don't follow their logical patterns. So let's be exactly what they think we are, but weaponize it. The plan came together quickly, while the world's governments appeared to scramble in disarray. Exactly what the observers expected. The real preparation happened in plain sight, spread through memes and social media posts that the aliens dismissed as nonsense. When the observer ships began their descent the next day, they expected to find cities in chaos and humans cowering in fear. Instead, they found something much more dangerous. Humans who had spent the last 24 hours getting ready to show the aliens exactly what F***around and find out meant. As the first alien ships broke through the cloud cover, their sensors detected no military resistance, exactly as they expected. What they didn't detect were the thousands of civilian drones modified with homebrew EMPs, the repurposed satellite dishes gathering intel on their shield frequencies, or the millions of phones and computers ready to flood their communications with data packets that looked like random noise but carried coded instructions. The observers thought they were dealing with a primitive species about to learn its place in the galaxy. Instead, they were about to learn a lesson themselves. Never mistake humanity's love of jokes for weakness, and never give humans time to get creative. Dr. Smith watched from her office as the first alien ships descended toward the city. She took a sip of her fresh coffee and opened her laptop. Across the screen, the message "Operation Welcome Party" initialized flashed briefly before being replaced by what looked like a cat video. She smiled. The aliens wanted to see primitive humans. They were about to see exactly how primitive humans could be when they decided to have some fun. "Tom," she called out, "start recording. I have a feeling the Galactic Council is going to want documentation of exactly what happens when you underestimate Earth." As if on cue, her phone buzzed with a new notification. The latest trending hashtag made her laugh out loud. #WatchAndLearn. The aliens were about to learn that Earth had its own style of uplifting to teach, and class was about to begin. But searching human internet traffic only made things worse. The aliens' eye struggled to understand human communication. Memes, jokes, and seemingly random posts flooded their analyzers. Hidden within this chaos were resistance messages, spreading faster than the observers could track them. Dr. Smith's team had discovered that the alien eye processed information in quantum states. Everything had to be either a clear threat or completely harmless. It couldn't handle human communication, where a picture of a cat could be just a cute photo or a coded message for resistance fighters. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. A group of street artists had started painting murals across the city, beautiful works that coincidentally interfered with alien sensors when viewed through their scanning equipment. The observers couldn't decide if this was art or warfare, and their AI crashed trying to categorize it. "They still think we're just expressing ourselves primitively," Dr. Smith explained to Commander Jack. "They can't comprehend that we're using art as a weapon." The resistance grew bolder. Modified drones now regularly slipped through alien security grids. Teenagers used hacked gaming consoles to intercept alien communications, automechanics built devices that could temporarily disable alien technology using parts from old cars. The observers finally began to realize something was wrong when their patrols started reporting equipment failures near human gatherings. But by then, it was too late. "Sir," Pete rushed into Commander Jack's command center. "Dr. Smith's team did it. They cracked the alien eyes base code." Jack looked up from his maps. "How?" "They were looking for complex encryption, mathematical patterns. Turns out humans wrote similar programs back in the 1960s. Dr. Smith recognized the basic structure. The aliens just made it bigger, not better." This was the final piece they needed. While the observers were busy searching for advanced technology and organized military resistance, humanity had built an entirely new kind of warfare, one that combined the oldest human traditions, adaptation, creativity, and determination, with whatever tools were at hand. In her lab, Dr. Smith put the finishing touches on her master plan. "Their eye has one fundamental flaw," she explained to her team. "It was built by a civilization that never had to struggle, never had to improvise. They built it to fight enemies like themselves. Advanced, logical, predictable. And we're none of those things," Tom grinned. "Exactly. Humans learned to fight by overcoming stronger opponents. We learned to innovate because we had to. Every piece of technology we have exists because someone looked at a problem and thought, 'I bet I could fix this with whatever's lying around.'" The observers were about to learn this lesson the hard way. Their sensors never detected the network of modified appliances that could disrupt their communications. Their AI never flagged the army of teenagers using outdated technology to hack their systems. Their tactical analysis never warned them about humans who could turn random junk into weapons. Commander Jack received Dr. Smith's signal, appropriately hidden in a social media post about cat videos. Everything was ready. Humanity had spent months appearing primitive, disorganized, and harmless. Now it was time to show the aliens why that had been their biggest mistake. "Send the message," he ordered. Operation Rickroll starts at dawn. Across the city, resistance members disguised as ordinary civilians continued their daily routines, sharing memes and making jokes. But hidden beneath this peaceful surface, humanity's true strength was about to be revealed. The aliens had come to uplift a primitive species. Instead, they were about to learn that true advancement doesn't come from having the most sophisticated technology. It comes from knowing how to use whatever you have to get the job done. And humans were very, very good at getting jobs done. The observer commander, watching his career dissolve into what humans called a meme goldmine, finally asked the question that had bothered him since the surrender: "Why didn't you just destroy us when you had the chance?" Dr. Smith smiled. "Because that's not the lesson we wanted to teach. We wanted to show you that being primitive doesn't mean what you think it means. Sometimes the old solutions are the best ones. Sometimes the simplest approach works better than the most advanced technology. And sometimes," Commander Jack added, "the most powerful weapon isn't a quantum cannon or an AI network. Sometimes it's just the ability to look at a problem from a different angle and say, what if we tried this really stupid idea that's so stupid it might actually work?" The council meeting ended with the unprecedented sight of alien diplomats scrolling through Earth's social media, trying to understand how a species could simultaneously be so primitive and so dangerous. As they left the chamber, Tom showed Dr. Smith his phone. Earth's internet was already full of tourist advertisements targeting alien visitors. "Come to Earth. We'll teach you the meaning of F** around and find out. Visit Earth, where primitive is just another word for creative." Earth, making the galaxy laugh since 2025. Back on Earth, humanity celebrated in its own unique way. Memes about the invasion became part of internet culture. Students studied the Great Rickroll Offensive in military academies. The modified toys and electronics that had defeated an alien fleet were displayed in museums, usually next to screens playing cat videos. The Observer Fleet's surrender video became the most watched clip in human history, especially the part where their ships played "Never Gonna Give You Up" while lowering their shields. In her lab, now expanded with donated alien technology, Dr. Smith hung a framed picture, a simple cat meme that had helped save Earth. Below it, she added a small plaque. Sometimes the most primitive solution is the perfect one. Commander Jack kept something too. The first message they'd sent to the observer fleet after taking control of their systems. It was printed and framed in his office. Dear Advanced Alien Civilization, thanks for all the cool tech. Next time, maybe Google us first. Love. The Primitive Humans. P.S. Get wrecked lol. The Galactic Council added a new warning label to Earth's entry in their database. Warning. Approach with extreme caution. Species appears primitive, but is extremely dangerous. Do not attempt to uplift. Do not underestimate. Do not try to understand their memes. Seriously, don't. And somewhere in deep space, a new alien ship picked up an Earth transmission, a cat video with a strangely encoded signal hidden inside it. The ship's captain, having heard the stories, made the wisest decision of their career. They liked the video, shared it with their followers, and changed course away from Earth. Some lessons only need to be taught once.